Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Podcast. It's your host, Matt Zahab. We are buzzing as always, still in Mexico, and I'm super pumped to have my guest on the show today, coming in hot from one of the best cities in the whole world, and that is Barcelona. Time for the intro. Today we have Gerald Heydenreich on the show, founder of EtherMail. This lad is a seasoned entrepreneur and has consistently demonstrated his ability to innovate and grow businesses across various sectors. Starting at the ripe age of 25, he founded Portum, the first European B2B reverse online auction and sourcing events platform with more than 1 billion in trading volume, and later sold it to Capgemini. He has co-founded a bunch of other companies as well, and is currently serving as the president and co-founder of EtherMail, the leading Web3 email platform, building the bridge between Web2 and Web3 and bringing full inbox ownership, control, and everything else back to users. He also leads the Barcelona blockchain network that he co-founded with Shent Kovanian, a venture studio focusing on Web3 and AI startups. Also got to say that he also is empowering others and created Pippa and Jean, a social selling community enabling more than 3,500 female entrepreneurs, a true man of the people and a builder. Gerald, super pumped to have you on, my friend. How you doing?
Great, Matt. Thanks so much actually for having me today. Very nice.
Pumped to have you, mate. You are in one of my favorite cities in the world. You're in Barcelona. Yeah. I haven't been to Barca in a hot minute. That place is absolutely electric. The vibes, the smells, the architecture. Yeah. Oh, it's just, beautiful girls, the partying, the food, everything's there. I must say, there's two things I don't like about Barca. Number one is the time of eating. I'm a fasting guy. I usually eat 2 meals a day. I'll eat first at around 1 or 2. I'll eat another big meal at around 6:37. 2 big meals, nothing in between, maybe a protein shake. That's it. Like to keep the eating window nice and tight. And the Barcelona folks have a fetish for eating dinner at 11 o'clock and then going back home, having a couple glasses of wine, maybe a little bit more tapas, and then going to the bar at 3. Like I'm Canadian, and my American, my friends south of the border as well, like the bars close at 2:33 and you guys go to the bar at 3. Like I don't know how you stay up until 7 in the morning, like raging. Like it's crazy.
It's just a completely way of living. I needed some time to get used to it. I'm originally from Germany, and then basically arriving a couple of years back, I first had to really get used to this. We all used to eat at 6:30 and stuff. Then, restaurants really don't open until 8:30. And then, as you said correctly, 10 is the earliest you really start eating properly, and then drinks. But I mean, it's just a very different lifestyle. And it's actually also known that the Spanish people actually sleep less overall than other folks because they have just a longer day. But of course, it's because of the weather, and the people just love to be outside. It's just a different lifestyle. I got used to it. Honestly, I just love it. I think it has a lot of value.
Yeah, it's, tough place to live for sure.
Yeah, I know. I get this sometimes. Yeah, poor guy, man, have to live in Barcelona.
I love it. You've built some incredible companies. I love asking my guests when and why they made the jump to Web3. For the younger folks and a lot of people even younger than me and I've had some incredible guests on the show who literally built, companies in university, like the Gen Zers almost, 18, 19, 20 years old. And now they're in their early 20s and they built multi-million or sometimes hundreds of millions or billion-dollar companies because crypto was sort of what they grew up with, at the end of high school and going into uni. But a lot of my guests, similar to yourselves, were just incredible builders in the Web2 space and decided to make that jump to Web3. A lot on the line, it takes a good pair of balls to do that. And it's a huge risk when you've already established yourself in multiple industries in Web2. So I got to throw the ball over to your court here, Jerry. Why did you make the jump to Web3? What was sort of the ethos and the founding story of EtherMail, and why you made the jump from Web2 to Web3? And the trigger.
Yeah, so I started really in Web 1, right? So when I started my first business, that was when internet wasn't really properly, right? I mean, we built software on the internet when people still used to actually install software on computers and so on. So those early days were just completely crazy, and of course people don't realize, but it was the same as of today. It was the same hype, the same craziness, the same crazy parties, the crazy IPOs and everything. And I loved it because this time when something really fundamentally changes, attracts a lot of people who are real visionaries, and they really are going into this space because they know there's something big happening. And if there is a paradigm shift, that means that there's so many opportunities. And people who are visionaries and who are believers, they basically are the ones who, of course, want to take those opportunities. And that's why it's so much fun to be always on the forefront of technology innovation, because it attracts a certain type of people. Because I like being around these people actually, and being one of those co-creators, let's say, in this space. And in Web2, you see a lot of the spaces have been staked. Basically, people know exactly where the big players are. But then if you go into a new area, it's a blank level playing field for everybody, and you can really start from scratch and re-innovate. And I think that's really, for me, the biggest one, to constantly being able to learn, stay around the young guys also in this case, and really get a lot of input and learn and be able to kind of give a little bit back of what I've perhaps learned over the last couple of years or 20 years and more in the traditional building, and applying it to something new. So that's the reason why I made the jump. And the triggering moment, I would say, was probably around 4 years back or 3 years back. So I had been in different businesses in Web2, and then we actually had just exited another business, and I was advising a company in the space. And they were actually doing an NFT launch with Alvaro Morte, the professor from Money Heist. You might know him. It's the biggest Netflix series. And they were actually selling the NFT. And within a minute or something, they generated $1 million in sales from selling those NFTs. And it was, for me, really this aha moment of, okay, there's something happening. I really don't 100% understand of why it's happening and what people are doing there, but this is a really significant moment, and that meant for me really, okay, I have to get into it. And Chan, my co-founder, so we have been working together for the last 6-7 years. He already was more on it and really technological also, and then I really said, okay, let's dive in and understand 100% what it is. And once it became clear, and specifically, once I was able to kind of cut through all the noise of, well, Bitcoin is all scam and it's just all a big scam and there's nothing building, then you start realizing, wow, there's so much opportunities out there, and there's just so many great things happening apart from the bad things. Okay, It's the time to go, let's do it. And that's when we said, okay, let's get started. And EtherMail basically started all this. Shan came up with the idea and said, listen, we've been supporting some of those projects on token launch and NFT launches, and then they couldn't essentially communicate properly with the people who had bought the NFT or the token, basically. And then eventually I said, okay, so how can we reach these people? He said, well, why don't we try email and connect actually a wallet to an email? And that's what he did. And then from there, things actually restarted to develop. And there we are now with a really big company already.
That's crazy. I love that. Before we get into the nitty gritty of EtherMail, I'd love to just sort of discuss email as a whole. Doing research for the show, I was just sort of looking at some email stats and just backstory of email as well. And even on your website, you guys have a stat. There's 320 billion emails that are sent every single day. That is absolutely bananas. I even just think about all the shit I get every single day from just the cold emails. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a sales guy. I love a cold email. If someone responds to me, if someone sends a cold email, and I usually not read through all of them, but if there's a good cold email, I'll respond and be like, hey dude, great cold email. I have no interest, but I'm stealing your template. All the best. Ciao. But emails as a whole, it's the easiest way. We've heard so many stories of getting into Fortune 500, CEOs. It's really the only way that you can have access to someone eons above sort of your pay grade and your network. You can't really cold call anymore. There's way too many gatekeepers. It's so tough to find a mobile number, let alone have someone pick up. But one email and it gets it through. And then sort of bridging this over to EtherMail, there's not a lot of crypto focused email products. The only one that really comes to mind is Proton. But Proton's not really, yes, it uses the blockchain and cryptography to sort of encrypt emails and make it the most secure, at least from my research, the most secure email platform there is. But we always talk about in Web3, we need to build products that onboard the masses. And heck, if we create a crypto focused email product, this could be the thing that brings in all the boys and all the girls,
100%. You hit the nail on that, Matt. I think that's exactly how we look at it. And the question is why hasn't somebody done it? So first is somebody had to have the idea, and then just somebody had to do it. And in this case, it was Shan. But I think there is inherent mindset problems sometimes, specifically with degens who are very much into the world. There is a tendency to really get away from everything what's there and build everything completely new, because the assumption is whatever was back there is bad. Let's do something new. And I know this. Again, when I was younger, it was a very similar thing. But then the older you get, you realize most of the things really evolve and they become a little bit better. But it's really difficult to kill something which has been so widespread. And email is the second largest communication platform on earth. 4.3 billion people actually use it. Next one would be actually WhatsApp, was I think 2-something billion. And then Telegram is 900 million. And Discord, I think, is like 200 million or something. So you can't kill email. Every company in the world uses email on their website for login, for newsletter and everything, because also nobody owns email. So it's a protocol. And I think that's a very, very important difference, that it's a unanimous protocol where people accept that you can actually send messages through that protocol. And then, of course, a lot of people were trying to say, listen, let's create a new app now, a wallet-to-wallet app, and all these kind of things. But people tend to forget that then eventually everybody has to download this app in order to really be able to send and receive, because eventually communication is a marketplace. It's a sender and a receiver. So it makes it, of course, much easier if you have a communication channel which is already used by 4.3 billion people, and then upgrade it, because 4.3 billion people already know what email is. And that was the initial trigger for us to say, let's reinvent email. Let's reimagine email for Web3, and by adding the features which are really great. Of course, with a wallet, you have payment, you have encryption, and you have identification to it, instead of reinventing the wheel. And we believe email is probably the best suited product to really onboard users from Web 2 into Web 3. We recently launched email as a wallet. We get to it in a second, but essentially, when we launched this, a lot of people said, now I get it, how I can really create from my email a simple way into Web3 by creating a wallet with an email as a wallet, basically, and then start using it.
So interesting. Let's get right into it. Like, give us the elevator pitch, give us the use cases. Why would someone use EtherMail over Gmail or over Proton or anything else? I'll set the stage and just say that I'm a huge Gmail guy. I love Gmail. And my apologies if I'm offending any of the listeners. I think Outlook absolutely blows. I despise Outlook. I can't even tell you how much I hate Outlook when I have a client who's like, oh, let's jump on Teams or let's do anything Outlook related. I'm just like, it's not happening. It's the friggin' worst. Gmail is so easy, so clean. I think it's the best. But obviously this is crypto related. So I'll give you the elevator pitch on EtherMail, the value props, and what are the use cases and why it can become so big.
Cool. So first, perhaps it's important to understand that there's kind of two layers, right? The one is the mailing program that you use, and it might be Gmail, or it might be Apple, or it might be Outlook, but the other one basically is the email address itself, and these two might be different, basically. But of course, they cannot merge together also. So what is EtherMail? So EtherMail is essentially three different things at the same time. So the first one is the inbox email, what we call it. It's the wallet address at ethermail.io, and it allows you to be used as a normal email with additional benefits, actually, which only Web3 can really allow. It's important to note that primarily we look at the Web3 email at this moment in time as an inbox. And also, by the way, if you look at the ratio of emails sent to emails received on your end, for example, or on my end, probably the ratio is, for every email I send, I probably get 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 emails into my inbox, promotions and things, which 100%. I never react to. So I probably get in a day between 110 and 130 emails probably, but I really will probably send 10 to 15 emails. Okay, so it's important to understand that the inbox actually is something which is super important. Of course, the outbox also, but the inbox is the core. And that's what the EtherMail initially, and that's for most more focus was. It's a Web3 inbox, which allows you to basically receive all kinds of emails. It's either token-related or NFT-related emails into your inbox. Of course, you can also just normally send emails, but that's not, let's say, the most important use case at the beginning, because you could also, in theory, actually use your Gmail. There's some interesting things what actually can be done in an email, in a Web3 email, basically. And I speak to the other two things in a sec, just to illustrate this. Today, if you receive an email, my normal email, I click, for example, if I get an invoice, right? Or if I get a promotion from a company, I click on the email, I look into the thing, I click on the link, I go to a website, I log into the website, I look for the product, I put it in the shopping basket. Long story cut short, 12 to 13 steps later, I have paid finally and potentially received the product. In a Web3 email, actually, I will be able to receive an email, and in the product or in the email, I will say, buy now. Because by this buy now, in the email, I will actually transfer from my wallet information to the other wallet. And the one is payment. I will pay, number one. Number two is I might in the future transfer NFT of my preferences, my size, my height, and so on. And number three is for this one single transaction, I'm going to transfer actually where I live and that it's allowed to send me this product, for example. So it's a 2-step process versus a 12-step process. So it makes a huge difference because all of a sudden the email is payment, identification, and encryption. Or case two, I actually send you money via the email because again, it's a wallet-to-wallet transaction, right? So instead of the normal wallet-to-wallet transaction is I send you open 1 ETH and then I text you on Telegram or something, Matt, did you receive it? You say, yeah, I did receive it. And then I send you the rest basically. So here I would just send an email basically from my EtherMail wallet to yours. You accept the payment, I transfer and it's done. So that's the email inbox. And there's a lot of other innovations, what we have actually already developed, and we are in the process of innovating. That's number one. Number two is actually the company side. So as we have established now that the email is an inbox email, what it allows on the sender side actually is to look for what is in the wallet and based on wallet information and wallet activity, send customized emails. Let's take an example. Dolce & Gabbana has sold 4,000 NFTs. They don't really know at the moment where all those people are. And this for a lot of companies, it's very similar. They've sold a token, for example, NFT, so the project has sold it, but I don't know where they are because I've bought the token, I send it to you, Matt, and the company, of course, doesn't know Matt anymore. So what this does is we look at the smart contract layer, the smart contract. We then actually look at which wallets own the NFT or token, and then we give the company a self-updating registry of all the emails where the current token or NFT holders are. And then if you would sell the token NFT, you go to former NFT or token holder and the new person automatically comes in. So it is ensuring that you have always an updated information connection to the people who own your assets. Going to be much more important in the future. For example, Larry Fink from BlackRock, he just said, well, we're going to see a tokenization of all kinds of assets, of all stocks and bonds and everything. So what this will be in the future is I'll have my wallet, I'll have my stocks and bonds, and then there's a direct communication channel between the issuer of the stock and bond, for example, and me, because they know it's in my wallet. And if I've sold it, I no longer get that information, for example. So it's changing the information paradigm from I hope the address is still correct to I know the address is correct because the person actually has the token and all the NFT in the wallet. And most important, and people don't really understand this at the moment, I think, with all the restrictions on cookies and data privacy and so on, the NFT or token also serves as a permission that I actually allow the company to send me something. Because the moment I sell the NFT, for example, to you, Matt, I have revoked my permission that they actually can send me something, and you actually have accepted that the company now can send you something. And this is traceable on the internet, on the blockchain, and that of course again makes it much better because eventually it really ensures data privacy and compliance with GDPR rules and so on. And the third piece of what we're doing is essentially is really changing the way of how advertisement is done. So at the moment, I get all those emails spammed basically because, by the way, there's not really a really good way of saying to the public, I'm open and willing today to receive emails, promotions. Today, emails lists are built by me being on the internet and then saying, yes, I'm interested in receiving other offers also from, for example, Nike. And then they might be able to sell their data or from games and so on. But it's really always scattered all over the internet. I don't know anymore whom I've given permission at which moment in time, basically. So that's why I constantly get all this bullshit into my inbox because is either they spam me or I might have really given permission at one point, but then I don't really want to give it anymore, for example. So again, Web3 will change this. So the permission actually layer will go to the user. So we have a privacy wall where I as a user define from whom I'm willing to receive advertisement. smallest amount is, of course, people whose NFT or token I have. Could be then also people who are in the community, but then it's like which kind of projects. And I basically set my privacy filters on my privacy wall on the email. And then what happens actually is what we are doing is we essentially give back advertisement money to the users, because today, of course, Facebook, Google, they don't share the advertisement with you. What we do is we take, let's say, if we have $1,000 advertisement or $10,000 from a company, we actually would take $7,000 from this, convert it into the token, the email token, which we're about to launch, and give this amount actually to the users, because we believe eventually the invasion of your privacy and of your inbox means for you time, right? It means time for you to read the email. It means time for you to delete the email. So this is the remuneration for it actually, and because it is super easy and it's microtransactions, which are now able with the Web3 email, it's also possible to really remunerate people for their time. And then, of course, again, the system will learn more and more about you. And then you might even get paid very highly, because somebody who wants to sell you, I don't know, a very expensive watch, knowing that you already had, for example, bought something else in a similar bucket, will be able to say, listen, I give you $50 to actually see the advertisement or come for a test drive, driving a Jaguar, because I know that likelihood is high that you are actually going to buy something.
That's so cool. Okay, we got a lot to break down here, but first let's that was electric. I love that. My head's spinning right now in the best way possible. Gary, got to take a quick break. Huge shout out to our sponsor of the show, Prime XBT. When we get back, I definitely want to keep jumping into a couple of the use cases. I absolutely adore the commerce use case, especially as someone who has built a couple of e-commerce companies. This is absolutely world class, and the advertising as well. Like, it's so difficult to just, actually spend your ad budget and try to pinpoint and increase your ROAS. Whereas with this kind of use case, this could really move the needle and really make things more efficient. But until then, huge shout out to our sponsor of the show. You guys know who it is, Prime XBT, longtime friends and sponsors of the Crypto News podcast. We love Prime XBT as they offer a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet, you can easily design and customize your layouts and widgets to best fit your trading style, always offering innovative products and professional trading conditions to all of their customers. Prime XBT is offering an exclusive promo for listeners of the Crypto News podcast. The promo code is CryptoNews50. That's CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Again, that is CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. And now back to the show with Gary. Let's go back to the very beginning here, the commerce side of things. So just so I understand this correctly, using NFTs as sort of the permissionless system, or the permission system rather. If a company, let's just say I'm wearing a Nike hat right now, I'm wearing a Uniqlo t-shirt, that, a couple of my staples. I love to golf. I usually rock Nike hats when I golf. No free ads, but shout out Uniqlo, $20 for just a phenomenal 100% cotton t-shirt. Great checkout system too. They fit nice. They don't get destroyed in the wash. If Uniqlo hammers me with emails, and they send me an email and they're like, oh, there's a sale on, all the t-shirts, that the white tees, the blue tees, the black tees, the like off yellow tees, blah, blah, blah. Via the NFT system, they will know that I wear a large t-shirt and that I usually buy between like 5 and 10 at a time every 6 months. I can literally one click in my inbox. They're already going to know that it's a large. They're already going to know my shipping address. One click, boom, done. How does the commerce side of things work? Like, am I sending them ETH? Is this like USD? Like, walk me through the whole process, because this intrigues the hell out of me.
So it's important, of course, to understand that this is something what we at the moment also in rolling out and actually developing also, because it is quite complex, to be honest.
Of course,
but actually the process itself, we have already thought it through. We have already looked at how it potentially could work. Is relatively simple, because eventually, and you see this already, companies like Breitling, for example, when you buy a watch, you already get an NFT dropped into your wallet, because it's a signal of authenticity. And a certain way you could really argue NFTs are lines of code which are essentially receipts. Okay, so I bought something, I have a receipt, and then that's it basically. So in the future, when you buy something at Uniqlo, for example, or any other company, you basically get also a digital receipt in your wallet, for example. That receipt will have all the information in it, and it's owned by you. So you have that information in your wallet. And most likely, I think also people probably are not really aware, but some which of course are more experienced. We're going to have very different types of wallets, right? I'm going to have an asset wallet. I'm going to have a transaction wallet, perhaps a vacation wallet or whatever. And then depending on these wallets, I will have different information in the wallets, because I probably wouldn't want to give somebody access to this wallet and I have all the information there. So then I would have that information in the wallet. And as you said correctly, because the company, let's call it the company, knows now, okay, you have bought this the last time 6 months ago, 6 t-shirts in L. They can just say, okay, fine, I'm going to exactly send you that same offer again in the email. And then it's really very simple, because eventually it's in the email. It's just a form, which really then you have to approve. You just approve, okay, this is my shopping basket I'm receiving from Uniqlo, essentially. And yes, I want to have this. Okay, they could say, okay, it's 3 t-shirts or 6 or whatever. But then with this approval, basically, you also give the transmission, or you transmit from your side the currency, whatever you've agreed to. At the beginning, perhaps it's USDC, because the company might not be willing to accept cryptocurrencies, but in the future, they might also accept ETH or something like this. So then you would just pay it. And with that transfer, also automatically transfer, okay, I'm still living at this address. I still have this size, for example. And then that's it. And the beauty again is, because it's email, it is something what every company can easily implement on their side. Because if you're trying to change a system, and actually the problem today already is existing there, because a wallet, try to implement a wallet logic into all the commerce system which there are, because people are not used to wallets, right? So, because wallets, again, also don't have communication mechanisms. Like the wallet essentially is just the ID, but it doesn't help me to reach the person. Now, by connecting the wallet to the email, you connect the ID to the communication channel. I always say, you see, in today's world, what is the analogy? The real analogy is my credit card. Right? Because my credit card actually would also know all the things I'm buying constantly. The problem is the credit card was issued by the bank. The bank might know actually what I'm buying, but they also don't really have access to the receipts and so on. But the bank doesn't have a mandate to send me advertisements or other things. And they will never give out that data to any third-party provider. So all of a sudden, actually now with the wallet, because I own the wallet, I'm personally giving for example, approval to somebody to say, fine, you can send me this information. I'm willing to use this wallet to buy something from you. And that changes everything. And as I said, it's going to be very easy also to implement it into existing systems.
Yeah, that's something that excites the hell out of me. Another thing that you guys have going that I absolutely love is EMT token and the subscriptions. I mean, with a platform that you guys have, you do sort of need, like with a lot of companies, I find token launches are unnecessary and they're sort of rushed, where it's like, okay, what's the true utility? Like, it's crypto, it's Web3, we get it. You launch a token, it makes everyone happy. It makes your users and ecosystem feel good and rewarded. I totally get it. It's just, if you launch a token and there's no actual use case, like it's going to be pretty hard for it to not even just keep its price, but to have any traction and to have any legs in an ecosystem. But for you guys, there's tons of use cases, like even the subscriptions. You and I were talking about all the bullshit emails we receive every single day, where if we opt in, and let advertisers send us subscriptions, we get small chunks of EMT, which is your native token. I love this idea. What other use cases do you guys have with EMT token? And I could be wrong, but I believe there's an airdrop going on. Tell me more about this, how people can get involved. Give us the goods on EMT token here.
Of course. So the EMT, it's the email token, by the way. It's gonna be the name. We are going to launch it in the next month. We haven't set a definite date, but we are in the very last steps of the process, let's say. At the moment, we are already giving EMCs, which is the EtherMail coin, which is essentially a predecessor, let's say, of the EMT. Because of course we reward users today. For example, if you invite users, if you read and interact with emails, for example, you already get EMCs. So as of today, you can already sign up on ethermail.io and just basically opt in to receive emails and invite other users, and you receive EMCs. And then there was going to be the first drop just shortly after TGE, basically. So that's the way of how to get involved there. So use cases, as you said correctly, it's receiving email token for interacting with emails, opening emails, interacting with emails, for example, inviting other users. But then the EMT also, of course, can be used within the ecosystem. So there's two things. On the one side, of course, it's our own ecosystem. So we're going to have premium features, for example, a tier 1 and tier 2 layer, not layer, but tier 1 and tier 2 pricing, basically, where you have more storage space, for example, you have additional opportunities, and there the EMT can actually be used in order to access those layers. And then the other one is within the ecosystem, we're having adapted marketplace, essentially, where third-party applications can integrate into our marketplace, and then we can, of course, users wherever we're in the system can access those applets. So we are then also in the process of actually negotiating that our EMT can be used in those third-party applications in the ecosystem. And we really try to make it a universal email token, let's say. That's the idea. That's also how we named it, in order to ensure that this can be applied by as many people as possible. One important thing is what we really changed also, and you were mentioning it briefly, very often there's no real use case for a token. In our case, we believe there is a lot of use cases. And then we really thought very hard about, so how do you release token into this ecosystem? Because typically you actually release token based on time, right? So you say after 6 months, 12 months, and so on, you release more and more token into the system. But if you think about it, a time-based release of token would be like the central monetary bank saying, well, we're going to release every 6 months $3 billion into the market, irrespective if the money is needed or not. The central bank would never do that, right? They actually would always do it when the money is needed. And in our logic is money or token actually in our ecosystem are needed the more users are in the system, because more users means more need for token to be distributed in the system. So we have said actually we're going to release the token not based on a time-based schedule, but on a user-based schedule. And that's the same for founders and everybody basically. So we are not there. We're not like, okay, great, then on TG we got the token, then that's it. No, it's actually a very long vesting schedule, over 90 milestones, up to 21 million users basically, where we release the individual token into the market to ensure that there is really a supply and demand and the token really works.
Very, very interesting. I love when guests come on who have some really good use cases here. Again, I'm a big believer here, Gary, of crypto needs to be more than just sort of an online casino in order to onboard the masses. We need some actual real world use cases. Yes, the casino is a massive use case. Sure. I mean, present day, by the time this episode airs, it's not too long to when it airs. One of the biggest platforms right now is, Dex Screener along with Jupiter and Radium. And that use case is the casino, where like, I'm sure when you look at a market share thing, similar to how, the Netflix CEO, I want to say 3-4 years ago, said our biggest competitor, isn't Hulu or any other of the, or Prime or Disney. It's YouTube, and it's the streamers. Yeah. Like, you usually compete with sort of non-direct competitors, whereas like sports betting and casinos are now competing with the meme world. It's just sort of how it works. So, and yes, it's a good use case, but this is a real use case, and it's a use case where 380 billion emails are sent every single day. So I love this. Couple more questions on EtherMail, then we will wrap up as we're getting a little tight for time.
Sure.
Mobile app, you got to give us the goods on the mobile app launch, and then we'll sort of get into some fun stuff, ETH, Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. But walk me through the mobile app, and then we'll wrap up here.
Of course. So by definition, and that was important at the beginning, emails can be sent and received by any email solution. So if you have an Apple Mail or Outlook or Gmail, basically, you can also read our Gmail, our EtherMail, basically, just by still using standard SMTP, basically. But then, of course, you're lacking some of the core features, which actually email as a wallet and really the Web3 email allows, for example, payment and paymail and all these other things. So we eventually said, well, pardon my language, but the experience on the phone, typically with Web3, with wallets and MetaMask, not with wallets, let's say wallets in general, basically, really sucks because it was never built for it. So we have said, okay, how can we make sure that we have as an experience as smooth as possible for the user eventually. And of course, the app eventually is the right logic for this. So we have just released the app into the iOS and the Android store, and people can download it basically. And of course, at the beginning it has some basic features, but step by step we'll actually really build it out into let's call it a gateway, really also into Web3, because it's a very easy way and very convenient way, let's say. And important is just for everybody to understand in the future, well, how we see it, right? So as of today, when you sign, for example, a transaction, you get this cryptic pop-up and you get the 01, X1, and so on and so on. Nobody understands. Basically, in our logic is when you buy something, you very similar user experience as today. You buy it, you get an email into your inbox, into your EtherMail inbox, where it explains what you're buying. We actually have scanned also the smart contract with our TX rate technologies, where we ensure that actually you're doing something proper and you're not signing something scammy, basically. And then you sign in the email the transaction, basically. So you know what you're signing, you have security that it's not scammy. And number 3, also have a transaction record, because then I know I've bought, for example, on 18th of March, something from OpenSea, for example, and I know the price I've paid, for example. So it's just a very different user experience compared to the normal user experience as it is as today in the normal pop-up wallet connect and so on.
I love that. 2030, you doing research for the show. I know you got a couple of spicy takes here. What's email going to look like in 2030? What is the dominating crypto going to look like in 2030? Give us some hot takes, then we'll wrap up.
Yeah. So I think at the moment, of course, the market is still very much in evolutionary phase. So it's not 100% clear what will pan out. So every prediction of the future by nature must be wrong, but we'll see if I give it a stab, basically. Again, looking back at learnings, I think at the moment, Ethereum still is by vast majority, by vast distance, also the most popular blockchain out there. And I think it's going to be very difficult for a lot of the other blockchains to eventually really catch up to this. I don't believe there's going to be only one blockchain. I think it's kind of unrealistic, because it would be a monopoly and that would kind of defy the purpose then again to have an open source, or let's say a Web3 moment. So I think there will be different ones, but I believe Ethereum can definitely be the leader in this space and stay also. And that's also why we decided to focus initially only on Ethereum. We're now launching a lot of layer 2 blockchains also. And we're also open, of course, to open up layer 1s, but eventually it's a question of focus. So in this logic of, 2030 email, so of course, eventually email has to evolve. So 2030 is, I think, another 6 years. We really look at it that with AI, it's actually going to again transform into something new. So let's assume for a second that there's a lot of the things what we are now having discussed about, a very easy interaction, for example, between parties, and being able to buy in an email and so on. So if you take that one step further, actually, the AI also could use this communication channel to interact with other protocols, let's say, and buy things on your behalf. Because again, it's a transaction layer, it's a payment layer, and then basically, as it knows already what you need, it will just do things automatically. So I don't think email will go away. In contrast, I believe it will definitely stay, provided that actually can also evolve into something new. And of course, we hope that EtherMail in this logic will be the next Gmail of the future.
I love it. Gary, what an episode. Really appreciate you coming on, mate. And can't wait to have you on for round 2. Before we let you go, can you please let our listeners know where they can find you personally? And I believe you don't have Twitter, but where our listeners can find you personally and EtherMail online and on socials.
Of course. So me personally, easiest is actually on LinkedIn, Gerald Heydenreich. You can connect to me out there. I do actually have a Twitter, but I'm not actually using it a lot. It's a little bit of a, if you look at it this way, I'm focused on email. So that's why I'm kind of not focusing on social. Totally. And to be honest, also, I've seen that very often it just distracts me too much. Yeah. So I've said, okay, if you want to get things done, very often you have to block your mind and make sure that you actually focus on some channels and not too many. Yeah. And then of course, EtherMail, it's ethermail.io or ethermail.com. We can be reached on both ends, basically. Reach out to us if you have interesting things where we can potentially work together. I'm more than happy to have a chat. Email is an open protocol. It is a horizontal layer of communication, which hopefully is going to be used by as many people and projects as possible. And we're definitely here to help also onboard projects and really evolve Web3 into a mainstream product.
I love it. And guys, as always, I will include everything in the show notes. And EtherMail on Twitter is at EtherMail_IO. That's at EtherMail_IO. Gary, huge episode. Really appreciate you coming on. Great epi, and can't wait to have you on for round 2.
Brilliant, man. Thanks a lot for your time. Great giving us the opportunity.
Folks, what an episode with Gerald Heydenreich, founder of EtherMail. We discussed everything Web3 email related, tokenization, the future of email. Folks, 320 billion emails per day, absolutely crazy. Let's hope that crypto can grab a small little slice of that pie. And heck, wow, what an opportunity to be one of the apps that sort of brings the mainstream folks into our ecosystem. If you guys enjoyed this one, I hope you did, please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. Speaking to the team, love you guys. Thank you for everything. Eustace, you're the man. And back to the listeners, love you guys. Keep on growing those bags and keep on staying healthy, wealthy, and happy. Bye for now, and we'll talk soon.